Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need several. Is that the correct code?
Get all these great things.
So do you know my name
Part of the process now until I'm really starting and then doing well because you're getting
I'm gonna go up and make sure that she's on her phone. All right, cool.
No, I didn't see it. That was one hard. The one I'm talking about now is further in towards Hissy.
Waiting for Jennifer Case, who will be representing the councilwoman who unfortunately is tied up at council. So we're waiting for Jennifer to get here, and then we'll get started. I'm Amy, director of the Friends of the Free Library, by the way, for those of you guys. And so we're going to wait for Jennifer, and we'll get started. Thank you for your patience.
Here representing Maria's office. I'll let Amy start off with the welcome introductions, and then we'll get down to some information that we had been looking for when we had our last meeting. Maria had brought up about the lighting, Carmen had brought up about a few things going on with the organizations in the neighborhood, so we'll have an update from them. Obviously, thank you so much, Captain O'Connor, for making it out today. It's so wonderful to meet you. We know that this is kind of a newer area for the past, how many months have you been here? 4 months, and I appreciate you coming out to listen to us. There's a couple of us that are missing that hopefully are going to show up a little later because 4 o'clock was a little bit of a tedious time, but I had tried to make it work for everybody, and obviously that didn't actually happen. So thank you again for being here, and we'll get started. Amy.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Nice and cool in here.
Today.
Anyway, welcome and thanks for your patience. And Jennifer, it's great to see you. Thank you. It's Jennifer Cates from Councilwoman Sanchez's office. It's great to see everybody here, and again, ditto to Tessa on Captain O'Connor. Thank you so much for coming, and Tina, of course. In any case, I just wanted to, I just wanted to give a very, very brief history and recognition to the McPherson Square Library Friends Group. In 2001, when Tessa and I got here to start a Friends Group, the park was filled with drug users, drug dealers, thousands and thousands of needles. There were not that many kids in the library, and we were lucky enough to be the beginning of a huge coalition, which later became the McPherson Square Coalition, of people who are interested in turning the park around, supporting the library, supporting the park. And many of those original people are here today, and I'm not going to get everyone's names. So I'm just going to say everybody who's here today was part of that, and I appreciate everything that you all did. And now I'm happy to say, before, in 2001, there was no playground. Now we have a playground through the efforts of a lot of people. We worked with Parks and Rec they got rid of dead trees, planted new trees. Anyway, the community did an enormous amount, and we're really, really proud of that. There is now a Friends of McPherson Square Park group, which is separate and distinct from the Friends of the Library group, because there's just different things that need to be done, but we work with them. But that McPherson Square Coalition is still kind of around. And we're all doing, and I also want to thank Judy, our librarian, who has been here for as long as we can remember, and has been through thick and thin and good stuff at McPherson. So thank you, Judy, for hanging in there with us. And one of the best things that we did was we opened the Teen Tech Lounge, and Judy and the library helped us with that. That whole area is now open for teens and others, but mostly for teens and youth with access to computers, and they're there. We've got youth and teens in this library all the time now. Thanks to Judy, thanks to the Teen Tech Lounge, thanks to the McPherson Square Coalition, and also thanks to the cleaning up of the park. when we got here, it was not safe for anybody to walk through McPherson Square Park to get to the library. A lot of people in the neighborhood didn't know the building was a library. Or if they knew it was a library, they didn't know it was open. So through a coalition of neighbors and our elected officials, Councilwoman Sanchez, Deputy Mayor Michael De Bernardinis, we really kind of got things rolling. So that's kind of like a brief history and a shout out to everybody who helped get us to that point. Now, one of the best things, and Managing Director Rich McGrin several years ago said he was absolutely committed to the mini police station in the park, and that had a fantastic effect. Captain O'Connor, if you don't mind then stepping in at this point, and I'm just going to, everybody's quite capable of asking this question, but I'm just going to go for it, because I'm known for that, and why not be who I am? And that is, what's up with the empties mini station? Because everybody knows it's empty.
Because the officers are actually walking the area in footbeats. And we had a new group of officers assigned to the division. And what we did was they walk footbeats now as part of it's trying to, get 2 for 1. It gives the officers experience, gets them out there beating the beagle, so they're walking footbeats in a geographical area around the park, and they use the mobile mini station as a place where they do their paperwork. Part of their footbeats is they have to, walk through the park. They come in the library, they sign the log, they're walking Kensington Avenue, F Street, Clearfield, Indiana. And
so they're on the street and they use the
they're
mini
on the
station.
street, they use the mini.
Mostly, or they're on the street?
Yes. People who don't belong in the park, and you can tell who they are. They're sleeping on the benches and all. You get up, take a walk. The park's for the kids.
Okay.
That's
And
what
what is so what is your assessment of the park? And I mean, I know that this is one of the toughest neighborhoods. We all know that in the city of Philadelphia. We get that. We know. And what is your general assessment of the activity and the safety? And
When I last worked in this area, I was in the highway patrol, and that was about 7 years ago. And it's night and day it's beautiful now compared to what it was there. Absolutely. Does that mean everything's safe? Does that mean that, the people still aren't coming into the park and trying to, do things? No, we're doing the best we can. You keep them out, keep it safe. And like I said, I come into the library 2 to 3 times a week, and it's loaded with kids every afternoon.
right, which is great. So, folks, this is open for questions, comments, directly to the captain. Again, thank you for coming. It's not my meeting with him, so go to town.
I do have a question for you. There was supposed to be something, mobile video units put out. Is that something that's coming down the road for in the park here, stationary video mobile units or something?
The video cameras are out of our control. That comes from the managing director's office.
Okay.
I know that they put the one up right in the corner here at Ian Clearfield. That's the closest police department camera there is to the area.
But
There's a program that the managing director is running with Parks and Recreation to try to put cameras in all the parks and all the rec centers.
Do your officers include HISI in their patrols?
Yes.
Instead of teaming together?
Yes.
Is there any correlation of that being like a team effort of HISI and McPherson kind of having dual, resources?
No, they're not competing against each other.
Okay.
The officers basically, their beats are 2 blocks at a pop.
So they can't walk from here down to HISI back to here?
There's other officers who are covering those 2 blocks where HISI's at, the ones here. And then what happens is every week they'll get rotated.
Oh, okay.
So it's 2 different crews, basically.
Well, all the officers work the same shift, they all work with each other.
Right.
But what happens is we just rotate the partners around through the area.
To touch on the other vehicle being left while the officers are out walking around, are these vehicles equipped with cameras that are left on while the officers are out walking around?
No, there are no cameras in a mobile mini.
I got another question for you. You said you got some more new beat officers out.
Yes.
Are they the same 26 that graduated when Captain Vogt was here, or is that an additional to the 26?
That's a different group.
That's, so you got an
Yes.
addition, okay, so that's more foot power out. I do see what you were saying. I live here, I'm just a few blocks away. I see exactly what the unit does, and I think you should have 3 or 4 of them in this area. He's right. 7 years ago was a monster scene out there. Here it is. It's a little bit better, but it's not really much different than 7 years ago. The activity is a little bit more intense. It's a little bit more covered. They're a little bit more organized.
So your assessment is, if I'm understanding you correctly.
It's a tug of war.
Is
It's a tug of war.
Right, it's a tug of war.
It's a tug of war.
That the criminal element is just getting slicker, they're not gone.
Right.
Our coordinated efforts and working together as a team and uniting the neighborhood, giving ownership back to the people in the neighborhood, they might be getting, they're having to go more and more discreet, more and more self-respectable, more and more public conscious, more and more community oriented. So whether or not they're drawing back, I wouldn't put it on that foot. I put it on the foot that they're learning how to respect themselves and respect everybody else around
My whole
themselves.
point is that they're getting off the corners and they're starting to go into home deliveries.
Taking it personal and making it
It's- You won't
business.
see anything out there anymore, is what I'm getting, is that's how complicated they're becoming. That's why you're seeing less.
Okay, real quick, to bring it back to this, I want to give Maria over here a little shot to talk, because originally when we went to have this conversation, she's been working and handing out food and been part of this friends group from the beginning. And one of the main concerns that we had to tie this all together with safety was the lighting. And I'd like to get to that in a second. Maria, if you could give a few words about at night, not right now because it's later when you leave, but the lighting situation and the lack thereof in the past year or so, and how you feel. We'll give her a minute.
It was at the beginning it was good, but now it did just get like darker again. Because when I work in here and I get late, that it's dark, they don't have no lights. Even I saw the kids, playing in the park, but they don't have no lights.
Is it
Yeah, they don't
that,
have any lights. It's dangerous.
is it that the lights don't work? or-
At 5 o'clock, when it's winter time, it's very dark.
Right.
And we don't have no lights on.
And we had talked about what court, we're talking in the back corridor, right?
Yes.
That's where
right
that's
there.
where it's darkest.
Yes.
And that's where it's
The
dangerous
park.
for her to walk back to her house. And so us maintaining that there is significant lighting.
Okay, Jen, can we flip to you now, because you're here now, we don't know how long
I just
it's
wanted
left.
to make
So
sure.
basically, we flip to lights, so
I
and
just wanted to make
safety.
sure I had totally up-to-date information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great, you're on, honey.
Okay, so in terms of the lighting, my understanding, and apologies, the councilwoman wanted to be here, and she will come up with a time when you schedule a future meeting. She just got pulled away with some stuff related to the school district that came up today. So my understanding, and hopefully I have all the information, is that everything is in line. The councilwoman has sort of pushed and screamed and hollered about why hasn't this happened yet, and I've been there, I've heard this. And we think they're trying, but I've heard her kind of scream at
Who's the they, if I might ask?
the they that she's screaming at.
Yeah, who is, not, what office is it that is in charge of
no,
putting the
no.
lights in?
My impression, as far as I understand, lights are part of the city's capital budget for capital
Right.
improvements,
Right.
and it's really being run through the rec department. So rec department is sort of the driver's seat. I believe that there may be coordination with the streets department, possibly related to like what's involved with lighting, because the electric, but that's a little bit beyond the scope of what, the level of detail that I have. But my understanding is that while the councilwoman has been sort of pushing, like this should be happening, make sure you're moving faster than it looks like you're moving, everything is lined up. And the next step is that they're going to be putting out the bids to get the outside, the people who actually do the lighting to submit, based on the specifications the city is given. Yeah, like it's going to be my understanding is they're doing a type of bid, a type of RFP that will be quick and relatively simple. And so our expectation, what we have asked for and what they've told us they can do, is that there should be a groundbreaking for the actual installation sometime in the summer, maybe like towards the later part of the summer.
So this summer, fall.
But in that window, we should be at the point of groundbreaking. So as far as we know, there's no issue with like getting things approved or anything like that. It's just the mechanics of getting a bid.
Of the RFP, right, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Cool, well, that's good news. That's excellent news. How can we help move it along? Is there any way that we can help move it along?
Well, I think that just in general, just checking in to make sure that everything is on track. Like as far as I know, everything is on track and it should just work. You just never know. And so checking in and particularly working the relationships with the rec department, who I think is steering the actual process. They're the ones who are literally, as far as I know, issuing the RFPs.
Okay, so we should check in with the rec department.
I think that makes sense, and give us a heads up if there's any if you hear any problems, but we are keeping an eye on it and we expect that to happen. And if anything goes off the rails, we would be trying to take care of that.
But yeah, so we could also call Deputy Mayor Mike Bernardinis and
just to check in,
just to check in and make sure it keeps happening.
I've heard the councilman mention it to him forcefully within the last 2 weeks, so it's on everyone's radar. There's no question.
Okay, cool.
This has not fallen through the cracks.
I do know that when we did talk that some of the, and I will talk for Santos, who isn't here, I know who's returning from vacation today, so he might be coming at the last minute. But one of his concerns, and prior, he's always voiced, is being part of that plan. Where are those lights going to go? Oh, well, I'm sorry, we started a little bit when you were walking out, so just introduce who you are.
So the lighting plan will happen at the rec department. Is that how that's?
I'm sorry, I was just jumping.
Let her introduce herself real quick so we can get a better understanding of who she is. You're going to do a round of introductions.
Is that okay?
That's perfect.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I know who all is here at the next.
Perfect timing for
Santos,
introductions.
perfect timing, yay!
Hold this here.
Santos is the president of McPherson for Friendship. How about we do a round of intros for Jen and then we'll carry on.
I'm Jennifer Cates. I'm a lawyer and I do legislation for the councilwoman. I focus a lot on vacant property policy. I've worked with this new land bank and so I work on code enforcement and those kind of issues, mostly at a policy level and when there's legal issues. That's what I focus on. I don't know how many folks have met Rafael Alvarez in our office, but Rafael is in charge of doing parks and rec work. So he's going to be the person who's overseeing the lights, any improvements, and I want to come back to improvements at the library, maintenance and physical upgrades. But that's going to be his work. He's great. He's awesome. He can't wait to come out and meet with folks. He's right now on a brief leave of absence during this election period, but he'll be back here, in about a week and a half. So he's going to be the point person, but I just filled in.
So if Santos or the Friends Group wants to get involved in the lighting design, we should talk to Rafael or we should talk to the Department of Rec?
I think either or both. So because it's not my area to administer, so Rafael works with all of the groups at the parks that have park groups and rec advisory councils on these kind of projects. I'm not as familiar with all the steps of the process, but typically there is some sort of design phase that Parks is the one who actually does the work, but we help give input and help coordinate community input.
Back to the earlier situation we were talking about with the drugs and the area and the way things are running and people are going underground, what have you. And with the litigious nature of today's society and with legalization here and legalization there, is there any PET program on the agenda, or is it even being discussed possibly working through the halfway house to actually decipher some type of a business model out of this that we might be able to approach in the area with these local people and start addressing them as business people with licenses and distributorships and regulations and taxes, something where they're accountable for, something where it's age appropriate, where the kids aren't getting it, they're not getting on the street corner no more, but actually business is set up, even if you're going through the halfway houses or something is set up locally through the methadone clinics or whatever, but turning it into individual proprietorships, bringing forth and turning the criminal element into a business model.
So I think we're happy to talk with folks and think through some of those strategies. A lot of my work is around the vacant properties and what we can do around that. We have other folks in the office who have worked in it. At one point, Danilo Burgos, who's also, he's on a leave of absence right now. We have a man, Hakeem Mubarak, who's great, and he works on small business support and licensing. And so, our office, the door is open to talk with either individual business owners or people with ideas for how we can better support.
You know what, I'm going to interrupt you a second. Let's back up and go to the introduction.
Yes,
Sorry.
introduction first.
Yeah.
My name is Jairo Santos Sanchez. Everyone knows me as Santos. I'm a resident. I'm also running for committee person this year. And I'm here to help out McPherson and the whole community park. So let's go.
He's also our acting president of the Friends Group. I'm Tessa Renshaw. I'm the community outreach manager for the Friends of the Free Library Philadelphia, and I have a strong connection to helping this group succeed and progress. introduce yourself.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm David. I'm also the candidate captain.
Welcome.
I'm Officer Wills, Communication Officer 24.
Dan O'Connor, 24th District.
Maria Rivas, I'm here since day one in McPherson groups, and I was here for 4 years, right? About 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, they call me Mrs. Lunch Lady because I do the lunches for the summer camp since 2 years already. This is gonna be my 3rd year, and I'm here because I just want to help, and that's what I do. And I care about the kids here. And I see a lot of kids in this library. Finally, the last 2 years, there are a lot of kids coming, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad because they always come and go, and this is really now a library because they're filled with kids and young people, and that's good. But we're interested in the safety. We hope that the lights, we're finally getting ready because we need lights and more security for the kids because they're full. This area is now full of kids and young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you, we love you.
Maria feeds the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm here for 4 years.
That's right. That's right, and we appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Carmen Suarez. I've been here since they created McPherson Friends group, but then they changed the meetings and the day that I can come, but now I told them that if they put on a day, on the week, I can be here. We also, Maria and I, had the mission. It's going to be 4 years. Women's United to feeding the homeless. And now, thank God and thank to this lady and Tessa and all the neighborhood to be here that they run a food drive. Now we can do better because we've been doing this for almost 4 years with our money and food time. And it's every week 95, 100 people to go over there. And I'm glad to be here and be part of the group of McPherson group again.
Thank you so much for feeding people. And so the can drive is really working for you guys. Which was a brilliant brainstorm of the library friends group, and we're really happy to help.
I'm Judy Moore, and I'm the librarian here. I've been here 25 years. The last 7 staff.
We have a fantastic new security guard. His reputation is citywide, and he's just a star. Amy Doherty, director of the Friends of the Free Library of Philadelphia. I keep Tessa to her cases. Seriously, I run the big Friends group. We now have 45 active neighborhood library Friends groups to the 54 library. Our goal is to have 100%, 54 to 54, but we're working on it. About 14 years ago, there were 20. Now there's 45 to 48. So we're in good shape.
I'm Bill McKinney. I'm a resident. I live across the street on East Street.
I'm William Bragg. I'm with Kensington Community Television, and I'm the guy behind the camera.
All right.
My name is Dennis Payne, founder of Havoc, and also a member of Friends of McPherson Park.
Anything new and different happen, other than the crime issues and that stuff, but there's anything new and good happening in the park you want to tell us about?
Anything good and new that's happening in the park? Well, this Saturday we're having the Spring Festival, Friends of McPherson Park, which is the other group, opposite this group, right? And we're having the Spring Festival. You are also going to be coming out?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this Saturday?
This Saturday,
What's
yes,
the
this
time?
Saturday.
May the 17th, 11 to 3.
11 to 5? Cool.
11 to 3.
It's going to be free food, fires, patrol, a lot of things for the kids to, everything's going to be free. Everything's free.
Wonderful. Nice.
That's one of the greatest
You do
things.
that every year?
We're doing it every year now. We're doing it every year now. Last year was great, and we kind of pulled it off with a miracle. This year we're hoping to pull off another miracle and make it even bigger and better.
I have heard that in Kensington, miracles happen.
Miracles do happen here, and no.
That's right.
Okay.
Look at this.
I'm Lucas Rubstock, and I'm the seasonal maintenance attendant here in McPherson Square. I just try to keep the park clean and needle-free and safe for the kids and, you know, the patrons of the his library. And that's about it.
Are you part of the mowing crew, or is that a different
No.
crew? How does it work? Explain to us how the maintenance works a little bit, if you don't
The
mind.
basic, that's farmed out to various companies throughout the city, depending
Right.
on the district that you happen to be in.
Right.
No, I don't do any of that. I
Right.
don't
So, and
mow.
how often should we expect the mowing to happen in the park?
Once every 3 weeks, a month, something like that.
Once every 3 weeks? Okay.
They just mowed it a couple of weeks ago, and as you can see when you came in.
I did.
because of the rain.
That's one reason why I'm
That's
asking.
because of the rain. Right after they cut it, it
That's
poured.
right.
And it just shot up, shot right up.
Okay, and what about trash pickup? How does that function?
They're here basically twice a week on Mondays and Saturdays, or Fridays or Saturdays. I think this weekend they'll probably be here Saturday because of the event. They'll be here very early. I'll be in here early as well, changing the liners and the cans for the event.
Well, I guess the other reason I'm asking, it looks like they didn't get picked up this week.
They don't come as often as they should, not to his.
Oh, I see. So it's not every week, is what you're saying.
No, they come twice a week basically.
Okay.
But they could come 4 times a week. That would be
Oh,
better.
I see.
Because we have the trash. I change the liners in the can.
I see.
And
Okay,
that
okay,
gathers,
okay.
and all
Okay.
the trash from the library, from the the lunches and stuff like that. That just gathers. The worst place is right down there.
Right. Oh, okay. So the reason that's there is because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes,
and at some
basically.
point they're going. Okay. Now it's good to understand that stuff because if you just walk by and you see it, you figure you can think, oh, it's being neglected, but it's not being neglected. You're working it, and this is the process. And so communication with us is really helpful, and I appreciate that. That's great. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
And what about, and one more question, what about needles? Is that part of what you do, or how does the needle pickup work?
Oh yeah. Well, since I clean the park, you know, I have to get around the benches. The main place you're going to find needles is around the benches because they do like to sit down when they shoot up.
That main strip.
Around big trees because
Uh-huh.
they hide behind trees.
Uh-huh. Have you noticed, how long have you been working this
I've been here since 2012, and there's been an amazing reduction. My first year here on July 4th weekend, we came back on Tuesday, and I picked up just from in front of the library, the 2 grassy areas in front of the library to each side of the steps. I must have picked up 45 needles just from that little area.
Right.
And now I might find 1, 2, 3.
So it's
a
definitely
day.
it's definitely less from
Oh,
your standpoint.
much less.
They are taking effect, we are seeing effect as far as the needle
The
use
police
here.
presence is incredible.
Yes.
That's helping.
And the police
Beyond
presence is
measure.
helping. Great. That's really good to know.
And at Hissy too.
Are you working Hissy as well?
Yes, I do Hissy as well.
Okay.
I don't go there every day. Yeah, in fact, that was Barbara's agreement with me, that I go like Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that can vary with weather, things like that. Whether or not I feel safe, because if I walk up to Hissy, and I see a bunch of guys selling drugs or something like that in there, I don't go in. It's that simple. I come back in person. But if it looks clean, I go in, yeah.
That was always a concern, I think, of ours, is that the influx from here, would overflow into Hissy being overwhelmed by the amount of needles there. And that was always to make sure that there was,
No, but there are definitely more needles at Hissy.
than there were before.
Absolutely, especially by the ball field, the benches by the ball field. That's very dangerous because it accumulates a lot of trash, and the trash hides the needles. And a lot of them are not capped. I found needles in pretzel and potato chip bags, in cans, just laying on the ground around the benches.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for coming to the meeting and for giving us this information and for what you do. We really appreciate it. And keep the group in the loop. I'm sure you know Santos and Bill and a bunch of the other members. If there's anything specific, we can help you with, the group can help you with, or we can do.
Well, there is
let us know.
actually. On Monday, the Parks and Rec had the annual SMA orientation at FDR Park in South Philadelphia. And they want us SMAs to start doing a lot more in terms of groundskeeping. Like removing limbs from trees that are lower than 6 feet. You know, a lot of pruning work and stuff like that. And they want us all to have blowers. Now, I called my supervisor on the blower, and the chances are slim at best. I mean, he said he'd try, but, you know, they really don't. So the chances are very slim that I'm going to get a blower from them, so I wanted to bring that before.
Well, maybe this is something that the McPherson Square
We'll
Park
probably
Group
reach
can
out to
work
somebody like
with you
Lowe's. We have a deal with Lowe's that we can probably get you maybe 3-4 blowers or something like that from Lowe's.
Ooh, I don't
get
think
them
we need
donated.
just one for me.
Just one, just for you? Okay, I thought
Like
you
a
were talking about for the
backpack,
whole
yes.
crew.
Huh?
You don't need it for the whole crew then, just for yourself.
I'm the crew.
Okay, all right, well,
That's it,
then we'll do an overnight party to get you one
Give
blower.
me a nice gas backpack, baby, man, I'll keep you.
Okay, well, one thing you can do for us
Because they want us to
though.
blow off the walkways as well, and there's, if you go out and walk along, I believe it's Clearfield, there's a lot of debris.
So you need a blower, okay, you guys
We'll
get
work
together.
something out, we'll work something out.
Okay.
Get something
All right,
out.
when I get to the kids.
Okay.
Excellent.
My name is Christian Marion, and I'm from Kensington Business International.
My name is
Welcome.
Ralph Fernandez from
Thank you guys. Sorry to interrupt, but it's helpful. The one other area that I am sort of aware of from talking with Raphael and the councilman is that I don't have a dollar amount, but there's funds in the capital budget around both, and the general budget around both some maintenance type upkeep work and capital improvements. We don't yet know how much or what that will be. My understanding is that there is some sort of assessment happening through the library about what the needs are here, inside and outside. And so coming out of that information about what the library's identified, the conditions are and the priorities, looking forward, there's an opportunity to start talking about what we are prioritizing for physical improvements to the library itself. Like I said, I don't have dollar amounts, but that's something that I know there is some possibility in the process that's going to happen.
Well, that's exciting. How do we get the Friends group in on that conversation?
As far as I know, so I think between Raphael and the councilman, when they're next out, I think that's a great conversation to have. My understanding is it was going to start with the library just internally doing, like just sort of cataloging what the conditions are. And so that my understanding is that's still happening, and then so we're looking, you know, it's just not started yet, a process of thinking about what we do with that. So it's just something to keep like bookmarked in your.
Well, should we follow up? Will you let us, or will you let us know when it's time for us to get involved?
I am confident that Raphael is going to reach out, and I think that it's just staying in touch with our office in general. And remembering to check in. There's not a timeline that I have, but I know that when anything becomes possible, when it moves to that kind of stage, they would just I know that he'll reach out.
Well, I will say, when I reached out to Raphael, probably 6 months ago or so, when we were working a little bit, you know, we've been a little tight-knit group working together the past few months, and I reached out to him about coming and talking with us. He was concerned he didn't quite understand the difference between the library group and the park group, and came back at me with a little bit of aggression of not quite understanding what this whole coalition was. Is there a possibility you might be able to have a conversation with him? Because at that point, Jason was leaving, Justin was gone. If you can give him a heads up of exactly what our intentions are, and the library piece is our, you know.
Yeah, we can have whatever combination of meetings. You know, like he can come out to this kind of meeting, or you can have some individual meetings. Whatever makes sense.
I think that'd be great.
I do know though, I have happened to just casually speak with Raphael specifically about the library itself,
right?
And potential future improvements, and he was actually really interested and engaged with the physical library. He's sort of focused on also the art side of things, murals with the dome. Like, what I get it. This is a whole lot. Like,
Judy's not about the murals.
She's panicking.
We've had that conversation. The upshot is that these conversations, that's the fun part of the debate where everyone has lots of ideas and we see what comes out the other side. But my point is just that he is interested in this space and he is aware of this space.
Well, you know, if you could just send a message to him before we get to the fun stuff.
We're not going to
I hear you, but I just want to put something out there, if that's okay. Before we get to the fun stuff, maybe we could have some lights at the you know, on the library building. I mean, we are way far away from the fun stuff.
Let me just tell you,
Yeah, go ahead.
step back. Raphael came out here and met with Jim Pecora and, well, Dennis, you were here.
Yeah.
And some of the building staff, and they were talking about what they needed some roof work. And it will proceed. Jim Pecora is involved with a bunch of projects at some of the other branches, and he gave Raphael a date where he's willing to start focusing on this branch once he gets done with what he's doing now. So that's what's happening. So they've identified the dome needs to be repaired and some of the stucco and some of the downspout stuff. So it's in the works. One Jim's in.
So that's building stuff, and
Yeah.
maybe we could sneak some lights in there?
Yeah, well, actually there are lights on the building.
Do they work?
They just need to be repaired. And we
Right,
have,
that's what I meant, right.
We have a service request.
But there's still not enough to illuminate the
Are those the
park.
ones that are
No,
yellow?
that's just for the library.
Right.
Okay.
The park is.
Right, yeah, we're just
And
talking,
yes.
we're just talking about the library now. Okay, so I could just call Jim and say, we just sneak some lights in there.
Yeah.
So we get the lights fixed. Okay.
Well, he might-
Why are you fixing the stuff now? Could you fix the
Yeah,
lights?
he probably
They're
will do
taking
that.
up cues from the library in
Yeah.
terms of what we don't know the total budget, but like the library's gonna determine the priority.
And we also need to change the orange lights to white lights.
Okay,
So
on
brighter
the library.
in the library.
So my guess is that they're gonna do that all together, the dome and the, because they're gonna have to rent
Oh,
a lift truck and stuff.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna get in the way of how they
So
do
they're
it.
probably just.
But, wondering if they're thinking about it.
Yeah, they are.
Did anybody ever decide the color of the outside walls yet?
I don't know.
Green.
They have decided that.
Okay, let's move on to the agenda because I know we were all trying to keep this under an hour. The food can't drive report that we kind of had already touched on. I'll give a brief rundown is that at a meeting a few months ago, we decided that it would be a good action item for the Friends group to establish a can drive, if you will, from the library to donate to Maria and Carmen and all the efforts they've been doing in the community for the past few years. We set up a box, we made some flyers, and we were able to really start something, get the ball rolling, and it was an effective action item that went pretty quickly. And also, Impact Services was kind enough for the bunny drive. They did photographs of the bunny for Easter. And if you got a picture with the bunny and you brought a can of food, you got a free picture. Is that right? Am I saying
Yeah,
that right, Judy?
that's how we did it.
That was a great partnership. We're very happy that happened. It was successful. And I'll give Maria and Carmen just a minute or so of how that effectively worked for you guys and what you're seeing. Even today, it's full. And is that every week? Can you give us a little update on how the food drive is going?
Yeah,
You can stand up if you'd like.
yeah, I make it follow here.
Okay.
Let's say, thanks to you, now we create a pantry. That way we know what we need to buy. We have now a relief for our pockets. We've been doing this mission for the homeless for almost 4 years. Thanks to God and your friend of Free Libraries in McPherson, now we do much more for our mission. We have another donation from people from Newport, New York, that sent me a check for $40 to buy plates, forks, cups, napkins, things like that. Thanks to your food drive in the library, we have more options to cook more for the mission booth. Now we go every week about 95 to 100 people. We want to thank to all of you that care about the homeless and help us with your grocery. Thanks, God bless you, Carmen and Maria.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you guys, it's a big
She was suffering because she can go to the mission because her accident. And last Saturday she went, she stayed for a while, then I told her get in the car because she can get the sun.
Yeah.
Wow.
The sun, yeah. But we made like a little pantry in the basement, and now
Yeah.
we
So it's like a
put
community
everything
food cupboard, is
over
what it
there.
is. It's an emergency
And we
food
got a
cupboard.
lot next
Yeah.
to you, we got a lot of stuff.
Very happy with that.
Just out of curiosity, where the ladies set up every Saturday morning on Somerset Street, there's an abandoned building right at the bottom of footsteps of the L
Yeah.
that has like serving windows and everything. Is there any way that we can look into getting that property?
Yeah, but the police just move on a little bit, like we got more in Ruth now in the corner.
Well, I want to move you into the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
winter facilities to work there.
Not that we was working is a building abandoned.
Instead of on the sidewalk, can we move them inside?
We can talk about that. We'll get there, William.
Land bank, yes.
I wanted to say too that we had a big meeting here, like district library, like a cluster meeting, and they brought, how many did they bring?
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
3.5 boxes of food for them.
Really?
Yeah.
The cluster did?
The cluster-
Yeah, they brought a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff now.
I thought just everybody bring one
Because
can. They
I cry, cause wow,
And now
so
we
a lot of
have,
stuff.
and now we are happy because we have a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah, I know.
and jelly. Because because we do it. We do
Spaghetti, macaroni, spaghetti sauce.
we do every week about 74 and 75 sandwich.
Okay, folks, I want to just bring it back to 1 second before we get to Tessa. Anyway, does anybody have questions for the councilwoman's office?
That's what I was gonna ask, because I'm gonna apologize that I have to go to our next meeting, because I was feeling.
So let's do that
I
now.
wanna know, and just so everyone knows, Tessa has my email, and anything that, people might need that falls within our office, just feel free to let us know.
Any more questions for the councilwoman's office?
Councilwoman.
I can do both at once. So
Go ahead.
let me just, because I'll tie quickly several things. One, in terms of the lights again, I'm gonna be the bad guy and say I don't think it's acceptable that it's by the end of the summer. It's not just that there's some lights missing. There are no lights, especially on the west side of the park. I don't think there's any other place in the city that it would be acceptable to not have lights in Rittenhouse. These are citizens of the city as well.
Yep.
So I know that that's not something that can happen overnight, but I think there's a mix of lights. There's the pole lights that have to be replaced, and that's a more complex situation than replacing bulbs that are on the library. Improvement is good, but it's still not necessarily acceptable.
Folks yelled at us, so we yell at
right.
the people who have to come put it in. So that's
Thanks for yelling.
And I'm not yelling, I'm saying there's a mix of things that I understand there's something that's a more complex thing and that's going to take a second, but there might be some things that can be done sooner for the lights that are less complex to replace. Those aren't going to take a $50,000 bid. That's a ladder and some lights. So I'd really like to see us deal with that. That impacts the public safety issue, and that lessens what you guys have to be running through the park all the time when it's pitch black out there. So it works for everyone with that.
I'll pass it on and I'll check about the interim.
Okay, so I appreciate that. I think connected with that, because I just want to give concrete things. If in those efforts of the foot beats, I think it would be appreciated, especially at times when students are getting out, making sure that folks are situated as close to the park as possible. If they could just time those loops, I think that would make a huge difference. That the kids feel comfortable coming and going, especially from Elkins. I think that's significant. I think what Officer Willis was just talking about also, if it's a part of their consciousness that things like picnic benches being stolen from the park and so forth is something that should be looked into, that would be appreciated. These are things that they're quality of life issues that should be addressed as a part of the stuff that's going on for the community. And this might seem minor, but it's another thing that a couple residents have said stuff about is that, and this is for both offices again, the kids are out there basically playing in dog waste most of the time. So I think it would be great if the councilwoman's office could get signs up. If officers, again, if they're seeing folks both with unleashed dogs, which that's waiting for disaster, unleashed dogs, but also if they're seeing folks not cleaning up after their dogs, the summer programs are going to start in a month, and those kids are going to be out there all day. It might, again, seem minor, but it's a quality of life thing. People literally drive their dogs over here and let them out.
Yes.
Because they don't have to do it. And then the one other thing, let me just finish this. The one other thing is the issue around the 6-day library. And I know that that's something on the agenda. I want to, as a citizen and a resident, want to push that. And I want to encourage that she not only votes for that as an issue, but if the votes aren't there, that she's pushing it. So that's an important issue for her, because in this community, that is one of the only public resources that this community has. And so it's just incredibly important. If there's 6 days that it's accessible, it just makes a difference. in the liveliness and the community sense of this whole area. Those are the issues that I just wanted to bring up that I've heard from different folks. They're interconnected between the two offices, and I think they're all doable things. Like, there's some little nuanced things that little shifts could occur that could make a really big difference.
The 6-day piece is at the heart of why we support the Friends groups. I'm involved in my spare time also with the Friends of the Library, and because it's an important community resource, like an essential community resource. So we will absolutely, if we hear, from what I hear, the support is absolutely there. If we get any sense that shifts, we'll absolutely let you guys know. It's been really positive, so it's something that I feel very confident about so far. But it's great to hear that because we can also relay that back and amplify that. And I've heard the councilman speak in city council in front of the colleagues saying, "This is why this matters."